Okay, we have our podcast setup. What do you think?
Not bad.
Very good. So, what are you drinking?
Guys, witty wit. I was feeling a little flavorful today, so try
Nice.
something different.
I'm going to one up you. I'm drinking Blackfoot. This is what men drink.
Diabolical.
Okay, this is my last day in Bangalore basically. So, really sad.
Are we though?
Ooh, I'm sad. You're not.
I'm kind of relieved.
Wow.
But yeah. So how this idea came about is we obviously chill together. He is one of my closest friends
Okay.
in Bangalore. You want me to abuse you a little
Okay,
bit
no,
more?
continue.
So we've been chilling for the better part of 3 years now?
Technically, I've known you 17 years, but then in between, like, we split apart. Like, he
And then-
became like a bad person and bad influence. I was not allowed to hang out with him,
And then once he became the bad influence, I was allowed to hang out with him again.
pretty much.
And then for the last 3 years, we've been chilling. Every time we chill, we do something or the other, and we have a long discussion about the most random of stuff. And every single time we do it, we're like, you know what, we should start a podcast. And then about 5 minutes in, we realize why we shouldn't do podcast because we might get cancelled.
Or worse, jail.
So, but since this is his last day in Bangalore, the Bangalore police can't catch him anymore. So we've decided, let's just do it anyway.
You think Kochi police can catch me for this? Are they authorized?
Well, legally depends.
Shit.
Depends on what you say in this podcast. So that's what we're going to find out.
True, bro. I'm only having one of this.
Thank God.
That's one sentence you'll never hear me say normally.
This is like the warm-up for our warm-ups.
Yeah, pretty much.
So with that said, we are wondering what to discuss for podcast because, like I said, we discussed the most random of shit. We mostly discuss movies, stuff we're watching, shows, but then it goes on to multiple other facets, the current world affairs, latest memes, latest hypes,
Movies,
Politics.
shows.
latest politics, whatever, anything you can think of, we've most likely discussed it. But I think the most common one of it all is movies and TV shows. So I think that's where we're going to start today. And funny story, he's a proper cinephile. Cinephile is the right word, right?
That's the only file I am. Nothing else.
Let's not get into that. But anyway, he's a proper cinephile. I am now catching up on movies. I can enjoy the most dumbest movies ever and the most sophisticated movies ever. He has a very weird.
A very niche class of movies I watch.
So, and recently we watched the first Pirates of the Caribbean movies together.
I already watched it.
Yeah. Like I said, he's watched it already. I'm catching up right now. So I watched the first one with him and then I finished the remaining 5. So we're going to discuss a bit about that, just to get started with. Again, this is a test podcast. Anything goes. We don't even know if we're going to upload it. If you do upload it, you know what's happening. So with that said, I want to hear your first thoughts or ask me anything about it.
Okay, first thing, I watched it when I was a kid, right? So I have a different perspective of watching it as a child, and I loved it. The first 3 movies, one of the best. At that moment, that was the Dark Knight Rises moment. You know how the trilogy right now for me is the best trilogy. For me, back then, Pirates of the Caribbean was the best trilogy of all time. Davy Jones was number 1, okay? Then rewatching it with you, watching it with other people, I realized that it's definitely meant for kids.
Yeah. But that being said, you can still watch it as an adult. You can watch it 10 years from now and still be entertained, is what I feel. It's not one of those kid movies where like all the jokes are meant for kids. What do you think?
I think it has its mature adult themes also going through the whole show. But that's my dog. Okay, that's the Kraken. But yeah, I think overall it holds up. This came out 20 years back, but even today Indian movies can't. I don't think they will ever get close to the way it's shot, the sophistication, the effects that they use. I mean, you know that scene in the second movie where the Kraken takes down the ship?
Yeah.
There's no way I'll see that here in Bollywood or anywhere.
I mean, it's not just Bollywood. I think even Hollywood right now couldn't come up with a scene that good CGI at least in terms of
Now it's She-Hulk.
She-Hulk. Yes.
That is a cracking.
But yeah, so I mean, my thoughts on it. Okay, let's. I definitely enjoyed it. I at no point was bored during the movie. I It has its fun moments. It has moments it needs to get a bit more serious. It has the funnier moments, which does have a lot of. But it has a good story which you can follow along. Some of the movies, yes, do get a bit kind of cluttered with all the storylines that it has. Personally, in my opinion, I feel the third one is the biggest culprit of this.
I beg to differ.
Yeah, so okay, a bit of context in terms of my ratings of the movies. I think the first is the best. Second is reasonable, but I put it somewhere on par with four, then three, and then five.
Mine is 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and then nothing else. The fourth, fifth movies don't exist for me. It's just the first three.
See, but
That
the
is
fourth,
OG.
but the fourth one is good on its own. If you
I
think,
don't know.
if you don't think about it as part of the first three,
I can't do that for some reason. For me, I know it has Jack Sparrow, but I need all of them. I need the whole ensemble cast. I need Will. I need Elizabeth, Gibbs, all these guys.
see, but it's Jack Sparrow without Elizabeth and Will. It has Barbosa.
They have beta version of Elizabeth and Will. Basically, the mermaid and that other guy.
See, they are a side plot which is a bit weird, but I understand why they did it, the story itself. But yeah, they were the beta versions of it. I think the real highlights of the movie is obviously Jack, Hector, and Penelope Cruz. I forgot her name, but yeah, her character. Like just the dynamic of all of them, and I think I like this movie for one main reason. I think it's
Penelope Cruz.
well that too, but it properly solidifies the relationship that Jack and Hector have, like proper frenemies. Like they start off as the enemies, and they've leveled their score. Now they're proper frenemies. They try to one up each other, but they're not. They don't have hold vengeance in their heart. They just are annoyed by the fact that they allow themselves to get bested, and that's why I like this movie. You can't disagree with that.
I'm contemplating it. I'm still thinking Penelope Cruz.
I really need a moment.
No. Now I'm done. No, but the third movie is so good because Cutler Beckett is such an asshole, right? We don't like him. And then the way he dies is perfect. He gets blown up.
But it happens in the most uneventful way. Like,
It's a metaphor. His whole life, everything is getting blown up. He's walking down the stairs and it just blows up.
see, but I get it to a certain extent. It just doesn't translate on screen for me. I don't know why. I understand that he's been a man of just business, and that's why that were his last words. But I don't know why. Just the death scene of him. I feel Davy Jones' death was much more impactful than Beckett's death.
I like the fact that before both of them die, they say exactly what caused their death, right? Calypso, and this guy says it's all good business. That it seals their whole arc perfectly.
Little bit. Thing is, reason why I don't hold the third part up there is because all of the storylines are just coming up into one unnecessarily mixed mess. Like the main villain is the East India Company in that, rather than what Davy Jones should have been, what Calypso should have been. I feel just in that terms, all of those storylines trying to mix up is a bit of a mess. The second part did it a bit better, but the third part just muddies it up a little bit too much. I feel, which is why it doesn't hold up.
Fair. I think I see your perspective, but the good thing about this whole trilogy is that he can choose whichever movie, I can choose whichever movie, and we're both technically right.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong answer.
Definitely. Except we can agree the fifth one was kind of ass.
Shit. That doesn't exist. There's no fifth movie.
Yeah, like I think by the fifth movie, Jack has become this. Although he tries to retain
He's
his
playing
show,
a version of himself at that point.
yeah, he's not the mad lad that it works out for in the end, which it does, but he's just more of like a stupid person in that, which I feel is a bit of a dishonor to the character that he plays. Well, Turner's son, the female character, they're kind of weak. Not as good as probably obviously uh, Elizabeth and Will, but just in terms of comparison, they were not there at all. So yeah, fifth one we definitely agree for a fact is the worst.
Apparently they're making a sixth one also.
I doubt. I After all that went with Johnny Depp, I don't think he's coming back.
Amber Heard is a villain in that.
She's the true villain in all of this.
She drops a kraken on his bed.
The Kraken had the decency to die after.
Yeah. I think we're done with Pirates of Caribbean. What else? What shows are you watching?
Currently watching Mad Men.
Nice.
I am on the 6th season, 5th episode, and yeah, overall, I love this show. It's a very consistent show. Like, I feel a lot of other goated shows have like seriously high peaks and seriously low drops. Mad Men for me is just like consistently good. It has like some really brilliant episodes, but overall I could pick any season, any random episode, and I know what to expect. I think, what are your thoughts on that?
So I watched it before I recommended it to him, and I remember putting the show off. I tried watching it 2 or 3 times in the beginning. So I watched one episode, and then it's just so slow for me. I'll be like, no, this is not for me. I did it twice, thrice. By the time I did a 4th rewatch of the show, I don't know at what point I just got hooked. I just couldn't stop watching it. It was so good.
I think I also have a similar kind of thing, but for me, within the first 3 episodes, I was not hooked to the point where I was binge watching it, but I was hooked. This was the show I was going to watch. Because I do that. Like, I start watching a series. If it's not good, doesn't hook you in. Just for context, I watched Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. It was easier for me to get hooked on to Better Call Saul as opposed to Breaking Bad. Because that first season is just super slow. It took me I watched the first 3 episodes, and then it took me a good year and a half to start watching it again. Obviously, I do consider it a really good show, and hopefully, maybe if this podcast does continue, I'm going to discuss in depth why I feel as good as Breaking Bad is, I love Better Call Saul better. But that's hopefully down the line. But that's just a bit of context as to how I, absorb shows. For me, once I started watching like the first 3 episodes of Mad Men, I was in it. Like, I've not binge watched it, but yeah, in the last, I have about another week left, and then I'll be done with the show. Like, that's where I'm at.
At what point did you get hooked on the show? Like, what moment made you go like, yeah, this is what I'm going to binge?
That's a funny thing. I don't remember, but I think the first season is more like just the introduction of all the characters. What role that they're playing. I think just Don in general, his charisma he carries. Like, you want to know what his next move is. Like, it's not something like major action related as such. Like, it could just be, a new client has come up asking him for, he needs, this is the campaign he wants to do, and that's what's bothering him. It could be just, something that his wife at that point, Betty, is throwing up. By the way, spoiler warning, we're going to discuss spoilers.
Yeah, complete spoiler.
Yeah. If you're watching this, watch at your own peril.
Watch Mad Men and then come back.
Yeah. And Pirates of the Caribbean as well. But yeah. So, like, whether it's with Betty, whether it's with his dynamic with people who he considers friends, with the people, with the women he is, being an infidel with. So you don't know what he's going to do next. Like, it's an interesting dynamic. And obviously, in it, his past also comes up. So, just the way he deals with all of that hooks you in. And then towards the next season, and then as it follows, the side characters' arcs get built. Gotta ask, outside of Don, who is your favorite character?
Mr. Sterling. There's no one like Roger Sterling. He is the funniest character in the show. Anytime the show is going downhill, you just put Roger Sterling in the room, and then it just goes back to being the funniest thing ever.
That is true. Roger Sterling is like the other side of the same coin of Don. Don is the more, a man of few words, smart, captures the whole room when he walks into it. Roger Sterling is the other side. He just needs to come into a room and he lights up the situation. But at the same time, he holds so much charisma. People are drawn to him in a certain way. I think I like that dynamic.
He uses so much charisma that he gets a heart attack twice.
That's true. I think also the show is just a good kind of introspect or retrospect for the 60s. Like just how
Retrospect.
a retrospect for how people dealt with each other. It goes through like the proper 60s in the US. Obviously there's stuff about racial stuff, how women were treated, how the relationships were
The
back.
politics, Kennedy's coming into power.
Exactly. So it's a very nice retrospect, and thing is, as a person living in this day and age, you don't think about how all of this affected the people back then. Back then, it took a while for the TV to become color. Is it color?
Yeah, it starts with black and white.
Yeah, it starts with black and white. Yet, so obviously it covers Kennedy's death, and you wouldn't think that it would affect the people that much, but people were crying, and when I say people, I mean pretty much the whole country. Despite the fact that most people didn't want Kennedy in power in the first place, and it gets people on edge, thinking about their life and stuff. So I like aspects like that of the show as well, where it just shows how people back then dealt with the various things that came out.
Not just that, also the women in the show and the way they're treated is crazy. Like I say that I would be one of those nicer people. If I was in the 60s, I would be, the guy who would give extra money to the black, the lift attendant. I'd help the women out. But I feel I would be a product of the generation. So I think I would be an asshole in the 60s.
Pretty much, and it's so normal that you don't realize it. Yeah, like you said, you would be a product of the generation. Maybe at some point you would realize what is happening is a bit messed up, but I think overall we would be products of the 60s, and I know through watching through it there'll be like some of those shocking moments where like no way I have done this back in the day, but I suggest this show just because it helps you think a little bit of how you would be in that exact situation. And yeah, overall I think the side characters as well get developed.
It's good character arcs. All the side characters have like good arcs.
Who is your so obviously anybody who has watched the show knows there's like the main inner circle and then there's a secondary inner circle. So in the secondary inner circle, who's your favorite character?
Is Peggy a secondary inner circle? Or is she one of the top main circle?
I think she's in between. Like she's not the.
She starts off in the second one and then she moves up.
No, she's not even in the second one. She
Yeah.
starts off lower than
Below
that, and then she goes above the second. Like she's not Dawn level, but she's not.
Okay, what about Campbell? Campbell is second circle.
Yeah. Campbell, yes.
Cosgrove.
Yes.
Okay, somewhere in between both of those characters. The second.
Yeah, pretty much. No, like Campbell, Cosgrove,
Sal,
even Kinsey,
Joan.
Yeah, all of them are the second characters. No, even Joan I would put like in the Peggy. Like she's fairly important, influential part of the show. Who do you pick as your favorite character?
This is a tough one. Do you already have an answer?
I think I would put. I like Kenny's character. He's kind of that consistently good character. I know a lot of people might say Campbell, but my problem with Campbell is he's trying way too hard to be someone he's not.
He tries too hard to become like Don.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work for him.
And the thing is, it's a running trope throughout the thing, right from season 1 till currently where I'm at. I haven't finished the show, but till now, like he just gets into unnecessary situations, embarrassing situations purely because he's trying to be someone he's not. In this case, is Don. But if I had to pick like a favorite character, I think Cosgrove would be it to a certain extent.
How far have you reached in the Ginsburg plot?
Ginsburg is still like he's not inner circle yet. I feel.
Okay.
I do like Ginsburg though. He's a.
No, wait, it gets better.
I already like him. So.
No, trust me, it gets it's absurd what happens to him in the end.
Okay, that is interesting.
Did you get to the part where the Don and him in the lift?
Yeah.
Okay, it gets crazy after this.
Ginsburg, I feel, is just that eccentric character who just.
It's just those kids who, when they have sugar they get like too much energy. That's him.
He's entertaining every time he's on screen. Properly entertaining. But yeah.
I think it has one of the best season finales. It's a lot of shows.
Season or series?
Season finales, no, like in general, like the 4th, 5th, 6th season consistently have like great last episodes.
Yeah, that's true.
Series finale is also good, but this like that season 3, season 4, I just binged it in like 2 days. It was so well written. And mid-season plot. That's where shows usually get a bit slow, right? I think this one it's picked up so much.
Season 3 is ends with them kind of getting fired and starting
Yeah.
right?
Everything that happens after that is so good.
Yeah, for sure. I think, yeah, I can't disagree with that.
Like when I say Game of Thrones season 4 is great, it's one of those things. Game of Thrones season 4, the last 2 seasons of Better Call Saul, things like that.
Which is your favorite episode of the show? What's like maybe iconic or most memorable?
Wherever Betty gets smacked back. Any episode where she gets back what she deserves is the best. But yeah, I can't say it because it's a spoiler for you. But one of the initial episodes, the one where they have a party where Kennedy gets elected as the president and they have a party in the office.
Yeah.
I think that's a great episode because Peggy's morally supposed to be a really good person, right? And then the next day she complains that someone has scammed money from her wallet. And then she goes and she complains about this. And eventually the black people who work there get fired. And she's like, oh my god, this is my fault. And she has this whole meltdown.
For early season?
This is one of the first season, episode 9 or something this happens. During the party. You remember the party episode, right?
Yeah.
They all have a party in the hall.
Yeah, like they put the water bottle is full of
Yeah. So she leaves basically and she forgets her purse. And then next day when she comes, someone has taken money from her purse. So she complains to someone about this, the security or something. And the black people who work there the next day get fired. And then she's like, oh, this is all my fault.
I don't remember this.
It happened, basically. And then any episode where Peggy's fat.
So
the first 2 seasons, and then Betty, wherever Betty is also fat.
Yeah, I love the episode. You know when Don's about to get the bad news, so he just takes it way too far, getting drunk, and then he's with Peggy. Peggy's pissed at Don because she had a birthday dinner, and then a boyfriend who she doesn't really like. Not Stan. Her boy. No.
Yeah.
He invites her family, which he doesn't like.
Keeps calling her.
Yeah. So I love that episode because I think that's the kind of turning point. Because although Peggy has always been the protege for Don, I think that solidifies like both of their mutual respect for each other. Like before that, Don would have his moments at Peggy. Peggy would have her moments against Don, and both of them don't really care. But this episode, I feel, is the moment that it made them kind of care.
I tell you, the vulnerable part was when Don cries when he finds out that what's her name? She dies. His wife.
That is the episode.
That episode, right? Yeah. I love that episode.
That is the one with Peggy. So basically, like they're supposed to be working on an account. Don doesn't want to go home because he knows he's going to get the call and he's dreading it. So he's drinking. Then he and Peggy have a fight, and then they go out to a diner. They eat like pie and stuff, and they're having fun. And then they go back to the office, and then he throws up, and then he passes out. It's just nothing crazy is happening. It's just such a nice episode. Like,
Yeah.
beautiful episode.
There are like iconic moments in the show. Okay, so like one of them is this Ginsburg one, where
Yeah.
the lift. That's one. It's become a meme, basically. Then one episode is like where were you when this episode when this shot happened? Okay, I'll tell you one. The Megan dancing one. Where were you when this happened?
I was cringing out.
Bro, it was the funniest thing. I died. That is such a Megan thing to do though.
Yeah. But funniest thing is when stuff like this happens, I wonder in no way, shape or form could it have been a good idea.
What was going through her mind at that point?
I was feeling embarrassed for Don, man. I'm not even part of the show.
I like when what is Roger's wife's name?
Jane.
Jane. I like when Roger looks at Jane. He's like, "Why don't you do this?" And Jane's like, "Why don't you look like him?" It's proper.
Yeah, I think that's such a Rogers thing to
For
say.
sure.
And then the funniest thing is the next episode. Harry makes fun of her, and then he's worried.
And he's worried that she saw it, and he goes to Roger, and he's like,
No, she does see it.
She
and
doesn't
he's
care. She doesn't care about it.
He's worried that he's going to get fired.
But then Roger wants him to do some other work, so he comes in and he's like, "Wait, listen. First of all, I didn't know she was looking at me." And he's like, "What?" And he just throws money at him. He's like, "Go back to the film room." That's also one like great arc. Harry Crane is so good at what he does. He goes into the film part of it, and I relate to that. I'm like, dude, I would be Harry Crane if I was in that part. The media, he controls the media.
Who's a funny character? Like,
No, Roger's funny as well.
no, like apart from the main characters, like side characters, recurring characters, randomly when they come in, you just love that they're there.
I don't think there's anyone like that. There's anyone who's made to be funny like that.
I think to a certain extent, Kinsey is like that.
Kinsey for sure. Like Kinsey gets jealous, right? When Kenny Cosgrove is writing, he gets published, he's all jealous.
Even Campbell, but then that's Campbell in general.
Yeah, Campbell's just jealous anyway. I like when Campbell got beat up. It's a great episode.
By Price.
Price. The last person I expected. Price beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, but nobody cared because they wanted to do it.
Yeah, they wanted to watch it. Roger wanted to bet on it.
He does bet on it.
Yeah.
Oh. I think probably we'll get a full discussion in once I've finished the show and then
Yeah, we have to do one of these. You have to come to Kochi next one.
Special
Next episode, yeah, special episode in Kochi.
do that. What else?
Dude, once you finish Mad Men, right? Start Dexter. I'm telling you.
Dexter. I'm kind of considering watching The Sopranos.
Okay,
but
let's do both of them. Dexter is such a good show, bro. It's so good. You like it because you think it's about a serial killer, so it'll be like very serious and all.
You want to get a special guest in?
Yeah, we'll get special guest. Un momento. We have got the main culprit is here. Right. Rumi, look. Rumi. Okay, anyway, where were we?
Dexter.
Dexter is a great show. It's about a serial killer who only kills bad people. It's such a great concept.
Does he muddy the lines at some point?
What do you mean?
He starts killing because he likes it.
No, that never happens. He follows a code. I have a code to follow. No, it's funny because, see, he kills bad people. He's a serial killer, okay? And he works for Miami Metro, which is the police department. So he's investigating his own crime. That is such a great concept.
That is... I'll give it a watch. I'll watch the first maybe 3-4 episodes.
Yeah,
I'll
for
see
sure.
how it goes.
Again, it has these characters, the side characters who are like, bro, I would be like this guy. Dude, I hate her. Things like that. Because there's one character called Masuka, Vincent Masuka. He's the horniest bastard you'll ever meet in your life. Because he's also a blood spatter analyst. But then, he look at dead women's photos and he like jerks off and stuff like that. I swear to God.
Oh, diabolical.
Yeah.
I shall give it a watch.
Definitely. Check that out.
So you're the Vincent Masuka?
If I speak, I'm in big trouble.
Understood. I'm more curious where you're finding the dead women's photos.
He works as, so he has to take photos of the women, like hookers and all.
It's crazy. What else?
I think we covered everything.
Pretty much. So, I think, how long has it been? Solid 30 minutes.
No, not bad. Not bad.
I think
All the viewers have just disconnected.
I think it's a good start. I think probably as we get more ideas, we watch more shows, more movies, we'll discuss. I think right now that's a.
I think we have to take a hiatus though. I'm going to Kochi for the next 4 months. So he'll come visit me at some point.
We'll do a special episode, Kochi edition. We're trying to do like different things as well. Probably discuss places
Sports,
to
traveling.
go. Definitely. So when we go to Kochi, one of the main reasons I want to go is good food over there. A lot of good places. So we may do a special travel vlog.
Vlog and all.
So stay tuned if we ever put this up. So till then, this is Yannick.
Rohan.
Nice man. We'll figure out the name and we'll add it at some point. Take care, guys.